The main reason for the Arizona Cardinals' lopsided performances, when we go to an expert analyst, one of the Cardinals' greats, Kurt Warner, plus he's going to tell us whether or not he thinks Jacoby Brissett can hold down the starting quarterback role beyond 2026, Johnny.
Plus more reports, the future of Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray, all that and more starts now. PHNX Cardinals. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K. Presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast. Your premier, #1 in the world, Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. That wasn't a fail, Brian. That's Bo Brock. Going to be joined by Kurt Warner just a couple minutes. Bo, how we living, my guy?
We're living well as we await the Hall of Famer. Yeah, what's going on? Adrian, it's new, but already feels part of the family here. How about Mo, AZ Cards fan? AZ Moses, Brian P, Jacob, Ryan, he's in the chat. Steven Jackson, Chef, Naheem, Dante Benjamin, how we doing? Han Shot First, he's up in there using his supporter emojis. Love to see it. Become a PHNX supporter today for the low price of $5. And then also check out what's going on with our friends over at Bet365. That's what our presenting sponsor is of PHNX Cardinals, Bet365. Download the app today. Deposit $10. Bet $5. Get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Nice little deal there, Johnny Venerable.
Yeah, hoping to be joined by Kurt Warner in just a couple minutes, but we got breaking news. Justin Jones has been released by the Arizona Cardinals. So I think Noah actually has put together a nice tribute graphic with a lot of his greatest hits. Go ahead and cue that video, Noah.
Oh, shoot. You know what? I accidentally forgot about that one. That's on me, guys.
You had a tough time finding zero highlights of Justin Jones?
I was going to have a tough time not getting choked up. So I'm glad he doesn't have a montage of the best moments from the 3 games that Justin Jones participated in wearing a Cardinals uniform after signing, Johnny, a $30 million deal with 19.75 guaranteed back in 2024.
Hit you right in the feels, doesn't it? 3 years, $30 million for how many games? 3 games?
Trace, yes.
Can anybody name those games? Can anybody name anything that happened? Like I've dogged on Bilal Nichols. At least I know what Bilal Nichols looks like. I'm not sure I know what Justin Jones looks like, but I know he came to Arizona, got a fat stack of cash, and then deuces. I'm out of here. Brutal. Does that not perfectly encapsulate the state of this team right now? We're going to talk about it later in the show about, as it relates to this team and their tackling, but it's like, man, you just talk about bust after bust, whiff after whiff, execution non-existent. I think their pro scouting, maybe not their college scouting, but their pro scouting needs an upheaval. It is bad. Like Josh Sweat's been good. Gannon knew he was good, but like the guys that they're trying to find, that 2024 free agent class will be studied for years to come of what not to do.
There was like a couple options free agency wise. In hindsight, not signing Christian Wilkins, doing some problematic things allegedly in the locker room to assist, a $100 million deal. Probably a good move.
Friendly guy.
Unfortunately, the Justin Matabuke, who I think we know the Cardinals were very interested in, never hit the free agent market. He was franchise tagged, and the Ravens did the right thing in bringing him back. So not a whole lot of talent as far as the defensive line group, and they knew they had to upgrade, and they made some desperate moves just they didn't pan out at all. They didn't pan out at all. Bilal Nichols is on IR, and was probably low man on the depth chart for most of the season, even when he was healthy. And Justin Jones had a knee injury after starting the team in training camp, and then it was really never seen again. Cardinals were up against it overall roster-wise, so it seemed like Justin Jones, they just had to just pull the trigger on cutting him early.
D-Flash, we sign no names and expect top-tier production insanity. I'll double down on this.
Yes.
For the longest time, people are like, free agency is fool's gold. And I agree with a little bit of that, because you're not going to pay a premium and expect to get 4 years of elite production. But here's what I'll say. I happen to pull up the best available free agents in 2024. Okay. I'm gonna walk everybody through this. Kirk Cousins and Christian Wilkinson were atop that list. They busted. Okay. How about the rest of these names? Daniil Hunter, been pretty good. Tyrone Smith went to the Jets, was solid the year he played for them. Somebody by the name of Saquon Barkley, 5th overall. Jonathan Grenard, 6th overall. Calvin Ridley went to the Titans and was productive. Leonard Williams, ring a bell, 9th overall.
Now, hold on. Let's not paint some of these guys up just so we can make a better case. You don't have to. Justin Jones played 3 games. He sucked, and he's gone. We don't have to say Calvin Ridley was good for the Titans, because he wasn't.
Yeah, he's better than.
I won't stand for that.
I just feel like I read that, Derrick Henry's on that list. It's like, got to find a diamond in the rough. It's like, no. Probably if the guys have been in the league for half a decade and they've been backups or journeymen, they're probably going to remain that way. I would rather give the money to people who have a flipping resume. And to their credit, they pivoted this offseason, so it's like a moot point. They went and signed starters. They signed what equated to like rotational players to starter money, and were immediately burned. Sean Murphy-Bunting, gone. Justin Jones, gone. Bilal Nichols will be gone. DJ Dallas didn't make it through training camp this year, gone. I just saw he got picked up by somebody like yesterday. He's just been out there hanging around. Like,
he was on Carolina. He was with Carolina.
For every Mac Wilson Sr., who, by the way, is injured, and Yelda Froldholt, they have like a resume 10 guys deep that is just didn't work out for whatever reason. So, yeah. But we broke down that free agent class in real time, Bo, and we're like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this.
Atrocious. It's atrocious. Both sides of the football. AZ Moses, how dare you? I don't know. Calvin Ridley, pretty good at State Farm Stadium, just with the dagger to the end of the JG era, potentially in that Titans game. Cam Ward can't complete a pass beyond the line of scrimmage, but he's money from 38 yards to Calvin Ridley to set up the game-winning score. Yeah.
You're dogging on Calvin Ridley. He had 1,000 yards that first season with Houston, just saying, or Tennessee, just saying. We're talking about a D tackle who, no one can break down any film.
I know. I don't think you need to look at, the rest of the class to even kind of add any context to it. Like, you just have to show, hey, this man signed for nearly $20 million guaranteed, $30 million in total. And he played 3 games, and he didn't play very well in any of those 3 games. I mean, it's right there with Sam Bradford. It's almost the exact same, just a different position. Like, Sam Bradford got $18 million, played 3 games. He was done. And it's right up there with it. It's one of the worst signings in franchise history. Yeah.
It's up there with Jordan Phillips, and signed a guy from the Chargers once upon a time that didn't even make it through the summer. Got arrested over another defensive tackle. I can't remember his name. I mean, it's kind of salt in the wound right now for this regime. That, I mean, what prompted this move, Bo, was that they're having to do kind of roster gymnastics to be able to manipulate just the state of things over these next 3 weeks.
Right. They've got so many guys on lists, and they're maxing out the roster. They're full capacity, and they don't really have anybody that can truly contribute any longer. It's
right.
It's one of those rare occasions in the NFL where, like, you're really kind of pushing the limits as far as how many people you have in your organization, because you can't get enough, warm-bodied people to get onto the field. Should we break? And then Kurt Warner's about to join us on the other side.
Let's do it.
You know, when I'm looking for a night out or just maybe a few hours to reset, there's only one place that I turn to. I'm thinking about Gila River Resorts and Casinos. No one does it better in the Valley. Actually, for my money, nobody does it better outside of Las Vegas. And I think they can go pound for pound against some of those Vegas casinos. You got 4 great Valley locations: Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vequeva, and Santan Mountain. So wherever you are, you're close to a Gila River Resorts and Casinos location. If you want to slow things down a bit, AAA 4 Diamond Resorts. It's unreal. Desert views, mountain views. Just let the relaxation take over. And if you feel like turning it up, who doesn't? You can go to the 4,500 slots, live table games and sportsbook to catch all the big moments, all the action. So whatever your vibe is, you do you. Gila River Resorts and Casinos are official watch parties for Cardinals away games. Visit playathila.com for more details. Look, let's be honest. The holiday season, it gets busy and fast. Between work and kids, cooking real meals can be a challenge. That's why I use our friends over at Factor. I genuinely recommend it. Factor meals are chef approved, dietitian approved, and you're ready to eat. Variety is great too, with premium options like salmon, shrimp. You get no extra cost on top of those, plus high protein Mediterranean style meals that actually keep you on track. You're not just going to go overboard like you seemingly always do during the holiday season. It's easy. It's convenient. It helped me eat better during the hectic stretch. I use this and you should too. I love Factor. Eat smart at factormeals.com/PHNX50 off. Use that code PHNX50 off to get 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code PHNX50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with the code qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchases. Make sure you like and subscribe to PHNX Cardinals here. It's been a bummer of a season for our beloved Redbirds, but man, it's been a thrill for us to catch up with the Hall of Famer Cardinals legend Kurt Warner as he's joined us throughout 2025. And he's going to join us again today, as you can see him on the screen. The Hall of Famer. Kurt, how we doing, my man?
I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
We've been better covering this team this season. It's been a tough sledding. I want to put the Cardinals on the shelf for a second because I want to ask you a question as it relates to the state of quarterbacks in the NFL. Tua is benched this morning. Kyler Murray, it looks like potentially is going to leave the Cardinals this offseason. And Russell Wilson obviously is a backup now. Hey, talk to me through the state of undersized quarterbacks, which it felt like 2017, 2018, 2019. You could be 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot and play the position at a high level. Are you seeing teams maybe pivoting away from that, or is it a case-by-case basis in your opinion?
I mean, I think it's case by case. But, I mean, I think we all know that the tangibles, the measurables have become, I don't want to say more important, but they've become the fancy of more people. I think overall you can understand that sentiment a little bit, obviously, right? Is that, if we can get a big guy with a big, strong arm and a guy that can run, we get all the tools, like it probably gives us a better chance to succeed. They can see over the line of scrimmage and all the normal arguments that you can make. I mean, even wear and tear, on a smaller guy that's taken, that kind of beating compared to a bigger guy. I understand all of those facets. But I think the bottom line is, can you play quarterback or can you not play quarterback? And at the end of the day, I don't think anybody cares what you look like if you can play. And, I think when you're talking about, some of the guys, I think you're talking about guys that we've seen some limitations with. Russell Wilson was really good early in his career, but he was good around a good defense and a run game where he could be more of a playmaker and a facilitator more than he was like a drop back, throw it 35, 40 times a game, pick a team apart type quarterback. And so as he's gotten older and been forced to play the position differently, he struggled. We've talked about Kyler, a lot. And, that's been a limitation for Kyler as well. I mean, when it comes to playmaking and doing that, I mean, he's been special and he's a special thrower of the football. But when he's had to, go through progressions and see things, he doesn't seem to do that as well. And that's been, to me, when he hasn't been able to, to athletically win games, it's been more of a struggle for him. Tua, I think we all know he's got limitations, and his limitations are more the physical limitations, different than those other two guys. And so he's subjected to, and I'll even compare myself, like I wasn't obviously the same size, but I wasn't a big guy either. I never hit 6'2" in my life. But more importantly, just athletically, I was limited athletically. And so when you're limited athletically, you need other pieces around you and a system around you that allows you the opportunity to have success, because you're not going to be creating that success yourself. And so, I don't necessarily think, because then let's go to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has had great success and continues to have really good success in this business. And, he's not, the biggest guy in the world. So I think it is a case-by-case basis, but I think it's more, show me the completeness of a quarterback, or show me how good the quarterback is, at doing whatever it is we're asking him to do. And I think that's the factor more than anything. Baker Mayfield, another guy, 6-foot guy, 6'1" guy. But, he's shown himself to be that every down, durable, can play in the pocket type quarterback. And, and he's doing really, really well. And so I just, again, I think, I look at a lot of factors, you guys know. I watch all the tape, and there's a lot of factors on quarterbacks having success or not having success. And I do believe it comes down to being able to see the field first and foremost. So whatever size you are, I've seen plenty of tall guys that don't see the field, like don't understand it, can't see it and play it that way. We've seen some short guys that haven't been able to do that very well. So the bottom line is, however tall you are, can you see it? Can you make the throws that they're asking you to make? And that, to me, is ultimately what it comes down to, more than it's a size thing. But I do believe those will be some examples that will be used moving forward for teams to go, can a small-ish quarterback thrive, play for a long time, play at a high level? Or is it just more of the one-offs, the Drew Breeses, the Brock Purdys, and those types of guys? And again, I think you have to put Russell in there because he had so much success for so long. Those guys are going to be, I think, more rare. But I don't think, I think those guys can play. You just got to find the ones that can. But I'll say the same thing about big guys. We got a lot more big guys in this league than we got small guys. And there are a lot of big guys that can't play, at this level. So, I just think it's easy to kind of point that out because there's fewer of the smallest type quarterbacks.
I feel like we've reached the stage, unfortunately, with the Cardinals. Maybe it was weeks ago, where it's now all that's left is, auditioning and the evaluation of who's going to remain with the club with a role next season, and who's going to have tape to go find a job elsewhere. When we look at Jacoby Brissett, you can kind of lock him in, Kurt, for 250 and multiple touchdowns, 2 touchdowns a game. That's what he's doing statistically. But from your evaluation, what does the tape tell you as far as Jacoby Brissett? Do you think he's making the case for himself, maybe even get a starter's role, whether it's here or elsewhere next season?
I think Jacoby's made that case for himself every time he's been in this kind of a role or a starting role wherever he's been. He's a good quarterback. I don't know if he takes that step to an elite quarterback. And so, that becomes the question with, a guy like Jacoby, or a team taking a chance on Jacoby, or the Cardinals, committing to Jacoby, is really, I think your point is, this is what you're going to get. And you're going to get some really good football, and you're going to get him making some really good plays. But he may not make every play for you. Whatever those every plays are that you need from your franchise quarterback. And so, where he's done, a nice job and where he's shown that he can be a starter in this league. I don't know if he's ever shown that he could be the franchise guy for a team. And so that to me becomes the evaluation, whoever you are, whether you're the Cardinals moving forward. I mean, I think a guy like Jacoby is a great guy if you're going to go get a young quarterback and say, okay, whether we're going to play the young quarterback right away or not, we've got a guy that we know is starter material in the NFL. Why we groom a guy that we hope can be the franchise guy. I think he's about as good a fit as you can find for that, because he's better than most quote unquote backup type players. He's such a quality individual. The way he handles his business, the way he's going to help a young guy, and he can play well and win some games for you while you're waiting for that process to happen. I'm just not sure there's going to be a team out there that says, okay, this is the guy we're going to commit to for 3 or 4 years as our franchise guy.
We're quick to anoint young players and letting things play out. And Marvin Harrison Jr., his arrival here, you want to be able to pass that receiving baton from Larry Fitzgerald. And yet here's Trey McBride, who has 105 catches with 3 games remaining, and very well may be the heir apparent to Larry Fitzgerald as a pass catcher. What have you seen, Kurt, that makes him stand out? Because this is a franchise that, sans like a Jackie Smith, is not known for high-level tight end play, and now suddenly they have the best one in the NFL. Yeah,
I mean, he's a stud. Whatever you need a guy to do, he's got the ability to do it. He's got a great feel for the game. I love his instincts. He's got all the ability. I mean, he can do anything you want. He's physical enough to be physical with somebody. He's fast enough and explosive enough to separate, get down the field, make the tough catches, make somebody miss. He just everything you could possibly want. And so, he's a guy that I do believe for the next 10 years is going to be a difference maker in this league, because there is so many different things that you can do with him. And, I think for a long time, he will probably be option number 1 for this offense, no matter how it plays out, no matter who's throwing the football. You'd love to hope that, Marvin comes along as well. And, you have your Anquan Bolden and your Larry Fitzgerald, your inside outside type guys. That would be obviously an awesome 1-2 punch, because I do believe good tight ends are the biggest mismatch in football, because of where you can play them and the matchups that you get, and the fact that, linebackers and safeties are so responsible for the run, as well as trying to keep up with a beast like Trey McBride. You couldn't be more impressed. And the cool thing I think with Trey was, I've been here since he got into the league, and he had a really rough start. And a lot of people were wondering, like, oh my gosh, we drafted him high and, having some trouble catching the football and some different things. And I know a lot of people were wondering, okay, like what does this mean? Like what's he going to be? And to see his growth from year 1 to year 2, and then continuing moving forward, has been fun to watch, because it is a transition for everybody. And as much as we want to think, great players should be great as soon as they step on an NFL field, it doesn't work like that for a lot of guys. And I think he's a great example of that. And I know most people probably don't even remember that, right? Most people just only remember him now as being this great tight end. But I remember the early stages. And so it's been cool to watch him transcend that and overcome some of those struggles, and now become, one of the best in the league.
Yeah, really incredible journey. I mean, he's talking about 29 catches his rookie season. He's stuck behind Zach Ertz, and even going into year 2 before he broke out. Now here we are. He was at one point the highest paid player at his position, and he's looking to break the Cardinals franchise record for receptions in a season. DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, and Trey McBride. Like, that's elite company, Kurt. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Let me ask you, though, with Trey involved in this, obviously he's a selling piece for this Cardinals team for whatever if it's coaching, if it's quarterback, if it's offensive coordinator. What do you think is the most appealing thing, especially offensively, when you look at this? Because it feels like you got Paris Johnson Jr., the left tackle, probably need some offensive line work. But like Trey, Michael Wilson, who's emerged, and Marvin Harrison Jr., it seems like that could be appealing to somebody coming in on the offensive side of the ball.
For sure. And I mean, if James comes back healthy too, I mean, I think, he's a guy you can build around and a bell cow at the running back spot, because obviously that's what, they've been the last couple of years. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, if it is, I mean, again, I don't want to speculate that they're not going to bring, Kyler back or what they're going to do at quarterback. Although, I think we all speculate based on how it's played out down the stretch. But yeah, I mean, I think those offensive weapons. I think any coach too, if you're talking about that, if they do decide to make a move with Coach Gannon, I mean, even with with Kyler, there's so many things that are intriguing about Kyler. If you were to keep him around, to say, man, we see all the incredible ability. And what I know about coaches is most coaches think that they can get the best out of somebody. Like that's just the nature of it, right? That should be the nature of it, is that when you're a good coach, you have that ego or that confidence to say, okay, I'm not sure what that, last group was doing, but I think I can get, Kyler to play at that MVP type level that we've seen at a more consistent basis. And so, if that were, a route and go that, I think a lot of people could be excited about what you're talking about. Those three offensive pieces, James in there as well, and even Kyler, and what the possibilities would be there. I think that is it's always a tougher sell when you don't have a quarterback. I think any coach now, knowing the lack of patience around this league for coaches, that there's always going to be a tentative aspect to it if you're going to a place that doesn't have a quarterback, because, so many of these teams, you as a head coach, you maybe get 3 years to convince people of what you are and to win football games. And so to not have, a quarterback, and again, even maybe Jacoby's, a good selling piece while you say, hey, we're go draft a quarterback if that's the direction. But, I think would be an interesting part to it, is that you like some of the offensive pieces, but we always say this league is a quarterback driven league. And so, a lot of coaches love to jump to the places that have those quarterbacks going, okay, as long as we got that piece, I believe I can win. So that will be interesting to see if they do make some moves, who would welcome that opportunity to possibly draft a guy to be the next guy, or or if that goes into or plays into what they end up doing at the quarterback spot. And again, I know there's a lot of speculation. I don't like to talk about people's jobs and what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. But I think those are some intriguing things as you head into the offseason and see how this thing shakes out.
Kurt, I know you've talked about this maybe on other outlets, but I'm fascinated by this because I want to get you on record here on our show. Phillip Rivers coming back, and the 2014 season, the Cardinals had a loaded roster. They had Todd Bowles, they had Bruce Arians, and then they had two significant injuries at quarterback. Am I to understand this correctly? Like, you were maybe intrigued with the possibility of coming out of retirement? Can you give us like the definitive statement on what happened that year? Because I'm going to tell you right now, we definitely would have been all for that here in the Bird game.
I mean, intrigued. I'm not sure that's the right word, but yeah, when all that was going down, and there was a lot of talk, obviously, because I still live here in Arizona. A lot of talk everywhere. They should call Kurt. Kurt lives down the street. See if he'd be willing to come back, because they did have a good team and we're going to the playoffs and all of that stuff. And so I remember looking at my wife going, well, okay, if they were to call, what do you think? Because she's usually the level-headed one to be like, you're an idiot, like you're crazy. This is stupid. Why would you even think about that? And she actually gave me the kind of like, I'm in. Short period of time, like, what the heck? I actually went out in my backyard. I have a field in my backyard. So I went out in the backyard and took some drops and started throwing the football a little bit. Like, okay, if they were able to call, could I do this? Like, because I'm, not a guy that, goes out in my backyard on a weekly basis and picks up a football. But I'm like, oh, okay, I can still throw a football. Like that wasn't the issue either. So like when Phillip came back, I was less worried about him being able to throw a football and make the throws that he needed to make. But the things that did go through my mind when, again, the Cardinals never called. We never had that conversation. That never happened. But the things that were going through my mind, were a couple of things. And the first part was just the mental side of it. I have so much respect for the game and the players in the game and the speed of the game. That, for me to think, oh yeah, I've been sitting on the couch for, 4 or 5 years and I can just jump back into it and see and play the way that I did before that. I wasn't naive enough to think that. And then the other part was the other aspects physically. Like, I wasn't out training, for movement. I wasn't out, training and getting hit by people to see how I could handle that. And, the thing in my mind that kept coming up was like, the worst thing that could happen is, to go back out there and, you're taking a 7-step drop and you blow a calf, or you're trying to avoid somebody and you pull a hamstring and you're like, seriously, like, the old guy comes back and he has an old man injury, it has nothing to do with football whatsoever. And it's just so anticlimactic and it just, crash and burn type thing. And so, those were the things that were going through my mind. And even the things that were going through my mind when Philip was out there this past weekend, I think it was must-watch TV for all of us football fans. And we didn't have any idea how this was going to go. And I think most of us probably saw it going, more badly than we thought it was going to go good. And a lot of those things that I was thinking about was like, oh man, what's going to happen here? He's holding the ball too long because he can't see it and he's just going to get crushed, or, he is going to try to move and, pull a calf and be out of the game. And we'll just be like, oh, of course, a guy sitting on of course. So those were the things that were going through my mind. That was the process that I went through. But yes, it was less being intrigued and it was more probably feeling obligated, to my old team. And if they thought for any reason I could have been the best option, I would have definitely, considered it and, and seen it where it went.
Man, I just speak for everybody where I just say, Steve and Bruce, you should have picked up the phone.
I'm probably glad they didn't. I am probably glad they didn't from my perspective.
I thought the most insane thing of the whole Rivers thing was listening to him in the post game. And they said, they were asking about getting hit. And he's like, the weird thing is my wife holds this against me. I'm paraphrasing that he likes getting hit. Like there was times during his retirement, he was like, I wish I could get a couple hits. Does that speak to you at all, Kurt?
Not really. Knowing, whatever I do now, I come up a little more sore than I used to. But I also do understand, that's always been kind of a part of it. Like even when you come back every year to play and you get in the preseason, one of the things you want to do is get hit. Mm-hmm. Like, feeling that and getting hit and getting up from that hit was kind of like, okay, we're back. Like, that's kind of what it's all about because we're so used to that aspect of things. So I understand how, it's a comfort thing for us, as weird as that sounds. Just getting hit makes you feel like you're back in it and it's time to compete. I don't miss it now. I don't need my wife to come down the hallway and whack me with a broom or anything. But I do understand, what taking a hit and what that feels like from a competitive standpoint as an ex-player.
Yeah, I remember Carson Palmer saying similar things when he was gearing up preseason, and that was just a part of the process. It's been a fantastic banner season with you, Kurt Warner. We've been so fortunate to have you join us. It's been great to talk ball with you. I know the listeners, the viewers, they've just loved every second that you've joined us. So thank you so much, and wishing you and your family nothing but the best during the holidays.
Well, thank you, guys. I have enjoyed it as well. It's always nice to have an outlet to be able to talk about my old team and dive into a bunch of things and talk ball. And so I've appreciated the platform to do that. And I wish the same for you guys. Have an awesome holiday. Have a great Christmas. And, maybe we'll do this again in the future.
Kurt, thank you so much. Hope to see you this offseason, my guy.
Awesome. Sounds good.
There he is, Hall of Famer number 13, the best. I think less of Bruce Arians and Steve Keim now. That's depressing. Ryan Lindley.
I think we just need to rehash that a little bit. That was a fantastic question by my co-host there. And yeah, we're going to have to take some time and then also to digest that and then also talk about what could have been if they just picked up the phone.
They beat 100% they do.
Yeah. We'll get into that plus so much more coming up here, PHNX Cardinals. If you're a big time procrastinator, if you're a last minute shopper like me, you know the drill at this point. That's why Aura Frames is my go-to gift. It actually feels personal as well. For my grandparents, they deserve the best. And why not get them something that they love? Photos of my kids, their grandkids. With Aura, I can preload photos and videos before it ships and keep adding more anytime from my phone. So there's no more, long drawn out calls like, how do I load this thing? I can do it. It even comes in a premium gift box ready to go. You can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it with Aura Frames. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com. Get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames. Named number one by Wirecutter. They know their stuff. Using the promo code PHNX at checkout. That's auraframes.com. Promo code PHNX. This deal exclusive to you, the viewer, the listeners, is the frames sell out fast. So get in now so your orders can be done and you get to get in time for the holidays. Support the show by telling them PHNX sent you. Terms and conditions apply. Also, another thing that I love about the holiday season, well, how about mixing some drinks for some family and friends who are coming on over? It's that time of year, right? Getting together with friends, watching games and trying a new drink somehow kind of sticks around beyond the holidays and becomes new tradition. One I've been messing around with lately, the Smirnoff Spicy Tamarind. Can't get much better than this. Love the Spicy Tamarind. I'm a change man since really kind of finding it. And if you're heading to the Cardinals-Falcons game this Sunday, if you're looking for more inspiration to go enjoy some time at State Farm Stadium, join them on December 21st for the signature serves with Spicy Tamarind from Smirnoff, including a collab with Squirt. Delicious drink that you're going to have on your cocktail list going forward. Game day specific opponent themed drink. It's just for the matchup. Don't miss out on that. They're not just pouring drinks either. They'll set up the custom Smirnoff Spicy Tamarind Chuck, and you won't miss it. It's bright, it's colorful, and it's very on brand for the holidays. So if you're cheering on the Cardinals in person against the Falcons this Sunday, make sure you stop by and see our friends over the Smirnoff truck and try one of those signature serves. Cheers on that. Love that from Smirnoff. Of course, the signature serves. Serves. Still blown away. Still just wanting to get into DeLorean, gun it to 88, and get back to 2014 and tell Steve Keim, you got to pick up the phone. You got to give Kurt Warner a call.
All right, so Cardinals-Panthers playoff game in 2014. Carolina made the playoffs with 7 wins that year. Okay. I thought the final score was closer, but Cardinals at one point were leading 14-13 at the half. Ryan Lindley's box score, 16 of 28, 82 yards, 2.9 yards per completion, a touchdown pass somehow to Marion Grice, running back, 2 interceptions, was sacked 4 times. Cardinals lost 27-16. Not only do they beat Carolina if Kurt Warner plays, do they make a run at the NFC Championship game? They're in the NFC Championship game the next year with Carson Palmer, who had, of course, got injured and Stanton got injured. They 100% win, in my opinion, multiple playoff. If he joins, Lindley had been starting for like a month.
I know.
The Cardinals were like 9-0. Terrible, Steve.
It was so unprecedented what happened this week, though, with Phillip Rivers. I think people just thought when you've been out for so long, there's no way you can pick it back up. But that's my only devil's advocate.
Right. He's an icon. It's untouchable. How could you even think to do this? But that defense, that's the best Cardinal defense of the last 25 years. Maybe since they moved to Arizona. I think that year they were number 1 in total defense with Todd Bowles. It's what got him the Jets job. And, I think we're missing a couple running backs. So it was like our running back by committee. But I mean, like they had John Brown, they had Michael Floyd, they had Fitz.
Yeah.
You had Kurt Warner and Jared Valdir had just gotten there. Like
Potty. Yeah.
They could have. I mean, the Panthers were primed to be beat. That's frustrating, but I don't know. It's fun to talk about when the team was good and in the playoffs because now we have to fast forward back to this nightmare horror show of a franchise in real time. But it's December 17th, Bo. 3 weeks away from Black Monday, and it could be a significant one here in Arizona.
And no doubt about it. I mean, 3 weeks, you got to put something to give the ownership, leadership reason to keep you around because right now the case is stacked against you. And, yeah, I mean, you got 3 games, really 2. I mean, the finale is such an irrelevant game.
Means nothing.
In this day and age that, the Rams, if you do that, you do win that game, it's more than likely against backups, scrubs, nobody that's a part of their starting unit. So yeah, I think it's like 2, you got to show that, it's not just empty messaging in the locker room. And that, as Jacoby Brissett kind of said today, claims that guys haven't checked out. The guys don't have Cancun and Cabo on their minds like he's witnessed in previous stops in his NFL career.
I don't want to get too far off track because we're going to break down more on this show pertaining to Sunday. I think a big part of this 3-week evaluation is if you pivot off Gannon, what's the pool look like? And yeah. I think that's something maybe Michael Bidwell is asking himself. We'll tease a video on demand we have with Baldy tomorrow, but I'll give you a little bit of insight. The hook of that interview is guys don't survive this. You give up 40 points in 4 out of 6 games. It's just not something we see, right?
Right.
So if that's the mindset and he doesn't survive, the Ringer put out, I don't know if you saw this, their top 30 head coaching candidates for January. Okay. There are some interesting names.
Yeah.
I want to get to this around the corner because there are no Cardinal coordinators anymore. That's a big tease. But there's 2 formal Cardinal coaches on this list. I'll tell you who they are around the corner. It's PHNX.
Everyone knows the holidays are made for giving. And let's just be real. They can also get expensive really fast. Between driving all over the place, hosting people, grabbing groceries, and filling the tank up again and again, it adds up. That's why I use the Upside app. The Upside app, honestly, it's a no-brainer. If you've not downloaded yet, you're just burning cash. I already have to buy gas. I already am buying food from the grocery store to bring to endless holiday parties, which I'm not complaining about, but it happens, right? Upside gives you cash back for doing all the stuff I'm doing anyway. There are over 100,000 gas stations, restaurants, grocery stores on the app. So before I fill up or head out to the grocery store, I'm hitting up the Upside app. No points, no weird rewards, just actual cash that goes straight to your bank account. People earn way more with Upside than traditional rewards programs. Upside's giving back $1 billion to its users. Find out how much you can earn. Download the free Upside app and use the promo code PHNX for an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back every gallon on your first tank of gas using the promo code PHNX. Got to remind you, as I talk about the Arizona lottery, you must be 21 years older to play. 'Tis the season, and I'm not talking about the lights and the leftovers. I'm talking about over $80 million in prizes from holiday scratchers from the Arizona lottery. If you're looking to add a little extra excitement this holiday season, holiday tickets, they're a fun way to do it. I love it. It's 6 festive scratchers to choose from, including cash countdown with prizes up to $250,000. Candy cane cash, which actually smells like peppermint. So delicious. You can dash to instant prizes as well with fast play tickets. And honestly, when it comes to gifting, these are perfect. Stocking stuffers, white elephant exchanges, and just because you could just do it from the goodness of your heart. So love to play and spread some holiday cheer with holiday scratchers from the Arizona lottery. And like I said, must be 21 years or older to play.
I lied. There are not 2 candidates that are ex-Cardinal coaches. There are 3 on this list,
wow.
and none of which are current. So the Ringer, the top 30 candidates, number 1 is Robert Saleh on this list. They have ranked him as the number 1 coach available if he becomes available. Okay, then there's your usual suspects, Mike McCarthy, Joe Brady. They have Cliff Kingsbury 3rd on this list. Okay. They have Vance Joseph in the top 20. Okay. Vance Joseph, ex-DC, is doing a nice job in Denver. He's 17th. 1 spot ahead of Vance Joseph, Clayton Adams, Dallas Cowboys run game offensive coordinator, ex-Cardinal offensive line coach. So you've got not only 3 Cardinal coaches on this list, 3 of the top 17 are ex-Cardinal coaches, 2 of which were on with the franchise at the same time in Kingsbury and Vance Joseph. So I'm putting that out there just because I'm sure Michael Bidwell knows this. Hey, these are the hot names this year. Well, we had those guys. We didn't win with those guys. So it's important. Do I think Robert Saleh could turn this franchise around? Sure. But I also want to contextualize it from the standpoint, this is probably what people like Benjamin Albright have been saying, where it's like, you fire a coach, it doesn't immediately solve everything. But I get it. Gannon's almost at the point of no return.
Right. And if you kind of go through to the different publications throughout your day, you'll see, people writing some similar things. We had the comments from Tom Pelissaro yesterday, basically saying like Bidwell's very supportive of this coaching staff, kind of searching for a reason to keep him,
right.
But the losses keep piling up, and he's going to be forced to examine things and take a good hard look at it. And then today, Johnny, as I was just kind of making my rounds, let's just go to this one from Pro Football Talk. Pro Football Talk saying the Austin Fort Gannon regime hasn't had a chance to find their own quarterback. If they stick around, that will be job number 1 for 2026. The whether both get a chance remains to be seen. So still just kind of people trying to draw their own conclusions, but can't, because the Cardinals remain kind of a wild card in this scenario based on ownership. And then you move over to the NFL, NFL.com, speaking on Jonathan Gannon. When a coach in year 3 hasn't shown progress, has 0 wins against the team with a winning record in more than a year, and is getting blown out by rivals, it's a fair question to question his status. So, I mean, Gannon's going to be on all the short lists as far as coaches who potentially couldn't return. And then when you kind of pull it with what you're bringing up here as far as this Ringer list of 30 candidates, and you see that there's a lot of relatively unknowns, some guys that already have some big-time red flags from their previous stops. It really is one of those things where it's extremely risky. And then to the point of Kurt, to the point of what this show's been talking about, how the danger level increases just with the major change that you're going to make at quarterback.
Yeah, I just there are notches on both sides. Gannon comes back. How do you fill out a staff? He's gonna if Gannon's back, Jeff Rodgers, Drew Petzing, I don't expect them to return. And so okay, you're gonna have to hire a whole new offensive staff. You can get a special teams coach. Okay, how do you court those people into coming potentially a one and done, right? Here's how I would do it. I would say, look at Steve Wilkes, look at a guy like Aaron Glenn who could be fired after 1 year. Like, nothing's really ever guaranteed in the NFL. But still, that's going to be difficult for Jonathan Gannon because he's going to target multiple veteran offensive play callers, some of which have been head coaches. Do they want to come and roll the dice that they can get a bridge quarterback and a rookie and they can win enough games next year to be safe again? But then on the flip side, I mean, like, I'm going through this top 10 list. Will Robert Saleh consider the Cardinals, right? I have my reservations. Mike McCarthy, number 2. No quarterback. You're not hiring Cliff. Joe Brady. I mean, Joe Brady without Josh Allen.
Was number 3 on that list?
Yeah.
Wow.
Steve Spagnuolo at number 5. I mean, come on. Jesse Minter. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Gannon. Number 6, Todd Monken. I mean, Brian Flores, Lou Anarumo, number 9, Anthony Weaver, Jeff Hafley, Clint Kubiak. I mean, they're just Arthur Smith. Get out of here. David Shaw. It's a tough year. There is
in
no
the
Jim
year
Harbaugh.
2025, going to be 26 of our football Lord David Shaw from Stanford. As that program free fell. I mean, this is a tough list. This is a very tough list. But I mean, peppered in there are guys I'm intrigued by,
Right.
and then there are guys that I'm like, no way.
And
Absolutely.
I don't know if Monty can. Does he have the self-awareness to be able to target the big names? Like we have a very interesting blueprint as what's happening right now because our friends at CHGO Bears went through last year. And there was no guarantee that they were going to hire Ben Johnson. I mean, they were interviewing Drew Petzing. There was no guarantee they were going to get Ben Johnson because it's just what the Bears have always done. They've always gone quirky. That's how Eberflus got fired, Matt Nagy. There is no there is no Ben Johnson available this offseason. None, unequivocally. There is no Jim Harbaugh. There is no Sean Payton. But could the Cardinals intrigue those kind of coaches? I mean, why did Ben Johnson go to the Bears? Caleb Williams, money, familiarity with the division potentially. For me,
he had a lot of influence on the roster.
He does. And Monty Ossenford's not going to give that. You would assume. So I want to just pose this to everybody. I have no idea what way they're leaning. If they fire Jonathan Gannon on Black Monday and they turn around and fire, let me just pick a random ass name on this list. If they hire Matt Nagy, are people going to be excited about that? If they hire Deacon Doyle, Bears offensive coordinator, Grant Udinsky, Jags OC, that I probably have, boxers that are older than him. I mean, it's like, are people going to be fired up about that? Do we know those people can lead? I'm just trying to give you, I would go all out and try to get Robert Saleh. I'd pay him whatever he wanted. I'd go 100%. But I'm trying to think, what will this ownership and this general manager do based on their track record?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I mean, the good part is if Cliff does get interviews, and I'm a little skeptical that happens after what's happened in Washington this season. I mean, Jaden Daniels regressed when he was healthy. Like a lot of the luster is worn off as far as Cliff Kingsbury, and that at least takes and offsets probably most of the extension that he signed, if not absorbs all of it. So now, like the case where people want to come up, well, Bidwell doesn't want to pay 3 coaches, probably wouldn't be. But no, Saleh is this year's hot coordinator, like Ben Johnson was last year. He's going to be the top name on every coaching vacancies wish list. You're going to have to be like the Bears were, the most aggressive team, and be willing to give what Robert Saleh is offering. Because if you're not, one of these organizations is going to be willing to do that.
And then Kyle Shanahan will look at you and say, you don't want to go there. They never win.
Right.
You don't want to go coach the Cardinals. They've ran through coaches. Look what they did to JG. Why would you go to the Cardinals when you were with the Jets? You have to be able to give them a reason why he can't say that.
It's tough out here on these streets.
I'm just trying to be
Cardinals fan. It's tough out here for being a Cardinals fan. It is. I mean, but I think you'd be hard pressed to find a Cardinals fan right now, and just taking a pulse of the fan base, obviously, is that they would be willing to see what's on the grass is greener on the other side.
100%. Because people feel like they know what Jonathan Gannon brings to the table. And unfortunately for JG, his resume is just stacked with an abundance of losses.
Yeah. We got an update from Jeremy Fowler, NFL insider, on Kyler Murray. We'll give you that plus your super chats because you guys continue to crush it. It's all next. PHNX Cardinals. All right, quick Circle K shout out. It's my go-to spot multiple times a day. I went there recently because I just need gas. I just need a Polar Pop. Those are maybe the many reasons you make a stop at your local Circle K. America's Thirst Shop. It's that for a reason. My go-tos, Polar Pops, Frosters. If I'm feeling dangerous, get some of those donuts. How about, who could go wrong with some nice Hazelnut coffee. I love the coffee there. If you're an iced coffee person, they've got that for you as well. Have you tapped into the Inner Circle yet? It's a free app that helps you save money, not only at the pump, but at the at America's Thirst Shop. Right now, the Inner Circle is giving you 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters, and 30 cents a gallon. You got a fuel day coming up. That's 40 cents per gallon. 25 cents per gallon off your first 5 fill-ups just by becoming a member of this free membership. Do yourself a favor. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. Participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. If you've been in an accident or suffered a serious injury, it's important to do your research. And because the lawyer that you hire, it really does matter. You want to get the results that you deserve. Mark and Alexis Breyer of the husband and wife law team, for them, Phoenix is home. It's where they've raised their family, 8 children. My goodness. Their focus has always been on results and doing right by their clients. It's a client-focused firm. After a serious injury, you want an attorney focused on your outcome, not the firm's bottom line. And that's why the husband and wife law team, that's why they're the law firm for you. They bring decades of trial experience with certified specialists, personal injury, and wrongful death, something fewer than 1% of Arizona lawyers can say. So beware, do your research. Like I told you, if you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team right now, 602-783-8841, or visit the link in our show notes to get to their website. Tell them your friends over at PHNX Cardinals sent you. And of course, you got to follow them on social for some levity. It's a great follow, even if you're not in search for a lawyer, which at some point you might be. Follow the husband and wife law team.
Keeping up with the Joneses as it relates to Kyler Murray is going to be our MO this offseason. And, Bo, it does feel like with Tua's benching, I mean, the quarterback movement you would imagine is going to be significant. Kyler Murray is going to be at the forefront of that for this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for the Cardinals. It's bad for the Cardinals. You're letting a guy who is one of the few kind of proven commodities, starting caliber quarterbacks that's going to hit the market, and it could generate some buzz. Jeremy Fowler does a great job week in and week out with his buzz kind of notes section that he puts up on ESPN.com. This is his latest. It says the Raiders and the Jets are among teams that appear to be in transition at quarterback. Whether that team takes a chance on Kyler Murray, his maligned career, and gives up draft capital and financial resources to do it remains to be seen. Johnny outlines or names the Minnesota Vikings, and it also just kind of goes through what we already know. If you're a listener to this podcast, that Kyler Murray's inavailability is solely based on the Cardinals preparing and prepping him for movement this offseason.
Yeah, and I think this Tua thing helps them. I mean, Tua was just outright benched for poor performance. Like, nobody has tape this year. I mean, like, hey, Kyler Murray was unplayable. Like, I think they'll sell it. Monty will sell this difference in scheme. They're going to go in a different direction. They're going to get cheaper at the position. Maybe you could say the roster isn't lined up to win like we thought, and Kyler Murray is a luxury we can't afford. There are ways to massage this, and if they're good at their job, they'll be able to do so. Whereas, like, Tua just can't play, and it's obvious now. And I think that's a franchise that if they were to trade him, would have to attach a draft pick. I think the Cardinals very well could and should get a draft pick in return for Kyler Murray. And again, like the tightrope, the threading of the needle that you're going to have to walk of getting a return on him that's worth it for them to turn around, keep Jacoby Brissett, and then do what is, like you put it, it's a blessing and a curse. Can you land this sucker? Can you trade Kyler Murray, get a day 2 pick, turn around, trade up, get Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore? If you do that, we'll stand up and applaud your efforts, regardless of who the head coach is. But if you have to cut Kyler Murray and you can't get a top quarterback, and it's just Jacoby Brissett and Bo and I taking snaps at OTAs, and you get a 3rd round, equivalent to Jalen Milroe, you failed. That's a failure. Because right now, regardless of where the Cardinals pick, if I expect them to lose out somewhere between pick 4 and 6, you're in striking distance. If you like 2 guys, make it happen. Because otherwise, like, you can take a right tackle, you can take an edge rusher, I mean, people tell you it does not matter unless you've got, hope at the most important position in pro sports.
But I would argue that this offseason's degree of difficulty as far as upgrading at the quarterback position is at a very high level because of what you're outlining there. Even if you're somewhere between 4 and 6 and you're the Arizona Cardinals specifically, you got a lot of competition and a lot of competition that is more well set up to make a move up the draft board.
With picks.
Like you got 2 teams right now, including one within your division. Even though Matthew Stafford's playing at an MVP level, the Rams have 2 first-round draft picks in 2026 at their disposal, including one that's going to be a fringe top 10. You got the Jets with 2 first-round picks. You got Cleveland with 2 first-round picks. So there's going to be a lot of competition already just because the demand outweighs the supply. And it's really going to be like, can you it's a competition. Can you beat one to get to one of those top 2 spots? Because that's where you're really going to have to be unless, Ty Simpson makes his way to the draft and some teams get content with their draft position and say, we'll take whatever is available to us. It's not worth it at our point in our rebuild. We want a quarterback, but to, use all the draft capital and the resources that it's going to take to get up the board. But like Monty Ossenfort, if it's in free agency, if it's the trade market, if it's the draft. And Baldy will speak to this, and I think Kurt spoke to it very well, that you are going to have to be the most aggressive team in the NFL as far as securing somebody that you have identified as somebody that's going to be the difference maker. Because you can't go with Jacoby Brissett. He's the backup quarterback. We understand that regardless if it's Jonathan Gannon or if it's a new coaching staff, that this roster – in order to win games, needs a starting caliber guy.
And that's where it becomes tough for Gannon as a sales pitch to say, hey, look at all the good I've done developing players, and I've had stability offensively. I can take on a Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza. They'll be just fine with me. And I think in different circumstances, he'd probably correct. But the current one, you don't have much room to stand in. You don't have a leg to stand on with that. And it also puts, we've talked about this before, unrealistic expectations. If Gannon returns and you trade up for a Mendoza or Dante Moore or whomever, we like the kid out of Duke, and you're like, okay, rookie, 22-year-old, go win 10 games in the NFC West. Whereas if it's Robert Saleh or Clint Kubiak or Mike McCarthy, you want to see progress. You have talent to win games.
Yeah.
But you don't have to win 10 games next year. You could win 7 or 8 games and say, wow, it's a great year of progress and we're building. And we've got a year 2 quarterback coming in next year in their pop year. And we're going to go all in on, assets and beef up the roster. Does Gannon's timeline fit a rookie quarterback? I mean, honestly, I'm not sure Gannon's timeline fit anybody but Kyler Murray's timeline.
Right.
And that's the unfortunate part of this whole thing.
Yeah. He's like, Kyler's like his anchor being like, once he's gone, he's like irrelevant.
Great
right?
reference. Great reference.
It's really unfortunate. That's why people are so, this is such a daunting offseason that
Not
no matter, no, it's not. But landing this thing, it's very tough. It's very
Bruce
tough.
Arians did it once upon a time in an equally difficult division, but he had Carson Palmer, he had Nace in his hole.
Yeah.
This though, for Monty in particular, this is his offseason if he's retained.
Yeah. I mean, you have to put yourself back in that offseason. I mean, the Carson deal, just the way it was perceived versus how it is perceived now. Like, who's the 2026 version of that? It's even tough it's tough to do that without the benefit of hindsight. But like Carson was the Oakland Raiders, a bad tenure there removed from his Cincinnati Bengals success. and it was like a conditional late round, 7th or 6th round pick.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals took him on, and he threw 22 picks in his first season too.
Right.
And then, as we were talking about, as we go back to that 2014 season where he's having a great year, Cardinals are rolling, got one of the best defenses in the league, and him and Drew Stanton get hurt. But, I mean, Jacoby can play Stanton's role in this, throwback.
Sure, absolutely can.
It's going to be hard as hell to find the Palmer.
Yeah, and the quarterbacks now, I think the reclamation projects are Mac Jones could go for a day 2 pick. Carson Palmer went for a 6th rounder. So
right.
It's different. Absolutely. But I think you have more success early with younger players now too, though. That's why I'm with you. I know it's tough. Arch Manning going back to school, the kid out of USC that I like going back to school. The Duke kid hasn't declared. Dante Moore somehow has not declared. He's got to wait till his season's over, and then we assume Mendoza's going to go. I mean, you have to have a plan for free agency too, though. There's got to be a backup plan. Maybe there's a backup. That's why don't discount. I mean, you can be hell-bent on trading Kyler Murray until, the other shoe falls, and maybe you got a new regime in here, and you're just like, what do you want this? Do you want to see how this goes? You can't have nothing.
If there is some sort of reconciliation, that bodes well for them. But the odds of that happen are pretty much slim to none.
Slim to none. Well, we're could go. The quarterback purgatory is not where this franchise wants to be. They don't want to be sitting here with. There's not a surplus of the position available this offseason. There's just not.
Yeah.
You want to jump into the super chats, Bo?
Yeah, let's do it. You guys are unbelievable. Let's start with our friend Desert Vulture. You jumping in early, $5. Thank you, Desert Vulture. I'm the elephant in the room. Hello, elephant. What coordinators, offensive and defensively, want to take the risk of working under Gannon next season and risking their own career path?
Very difficult. And I not impossible, because people out of work, and there's only so many OC jobs that are going to be available. They're probably going to be like maybe a third of the league changes OCs on a given year. I don't know. You can find a special teams coach, but I think Jonathan Gannon would want to bring back several offensive coaches, but again, that could be dictated by somebody bringing in their own people, but not impossible, Desert Vulture. But you're right. It's a hard selling point. And I think a harder selling point now is what do you do with Nick Rallis? Do you add to your defensive staff? We already know they're going to add a defensive line coach. How many coaches? They're going to spend all January hiring coaches if he's back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If they get the opportunity, looks like they might need a safeties coach as well.
Yeah.
300 people watching, by the way. Hit that subscribe to PHNX Sports. We're close to 50K. Come one of the 50,000 subscribers to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Brian A. really upset Steve Keim couldn't even dial Kurt Warner for us when we needed him. It left one keyword out of there. If you're watching, you can see it.
And Steve loves signing older players too. I'm surprised that wasn't in the cards. I'm surprised he didn't even. We were all thinking it's no way you can play Ryan Lindley.
Yeah.
But they were playing with house money. They were in the playoffs. They probably knew Carson would be fine. They just they were just trying to get into the postseason that year.
We point blank. We did our interview with Baldy today. You'll be able to see it, but we point blank asked him about just the circumstances that Jonathan Gannon has found himself in right now and whether or not he'll survive it. And Baldy's pretty blunt about it. We're actually going to put that in the audio version of the show. So you won't be able to see it here, but if you want to download the audio version, it'll be right at the end of the audio podcast version of this PHNX Cardinals. So go check that out. You can get an early glimpse of what Baldy had to say.
Keeping things going here. I want to get to this very generous $50 super chat from our guy, Kyle Haley. Hey guys, going through the Twitter, and I found who the new OC is going to be. Dave Ragone, Rams QB coach, and JG's college football quarterback.
Ooh.
All right. Well, first of all, that's a very generous $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Kyle. We appreciate you. Hope you have a great holiday season. And not just because of your generous super chat, but because you're semi on the money. While I don't think Dave Ragone is the favorite if JG remains, because I think Gannon's preference is to hire an experienced play caller, that is one of the names I've heard. That is probably, not to be disrespectful, a mid-tier choice. I think Gannon, well, I know they have 2 or 3 names that they like as established guys. They need an established play caller. But of the guys who were not established, of the coaches that, like the Drew Petzing crop, right? The next quarterback coach, tight ends coach that becomes a play caller, I believe Dave Ragone would be number 1 on that list. So good on you, detective skills, Kyle.
Oh, yeah. Went to the same high school as JG. Ragone, he did have 3 years as Falcons OC.
Oh, that's right.
From 21 to 23.
But Arthur Smith called it right there, I think.
Yeah. His last was his best. His first 2 were not great. He did end up, getting ousted there along with the entire staff in Atlanta. But interesting. Like the ties are very real. The connection, absolutely right there.
That's a name of about 4 or 5 guys to watch.
Okay.
Desert Vulture, Bo, you want to keep things going here?
Yeah, good offensive coordinator. Could have MHJ, Michael Wilson, Trey, all hovering around 1,000 yards each with 17 games to play in.
Cupboard's not bare. Honestly, offensively, you need a couple of linemen, a running back, and a QB. You got pass catchers, though.
Yeah. The offensive line, like who do you feel comfortable with right now? Paris Johnson Jr., Yelder Froholt.
I mean, you got to go into next year with Isaiah Adams penciled in at right guard. I think.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable with a competent staff. I'll tell you what. Very encouraged by John Gaines the last 2 weeks. He's under contract, and then I mean, Josh Fryer did well. Could he be your swing tackle taking over from Kelvin Beach? He was really good on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
You unequivocally need a right tackle and a starting guard. And I think if you add those 2, there'll be enough left over to kind of mix and match. You need to get away from the older guys. You need to find, you need another Clayton Adams that can come in and develop guys like he did with Froholt and what he was doing with Isaiah Adams. That's where your next offensive staff is going to be so critical. I like the players.
I think between Gaines and Adams, you've got just who can emerge, obviously, in the next 3 games, and then beyond that, and show that you can feel comfortable with one of them in a starting spot. I don't know if I would go as far to say 2. I think really finding a surefire starter would do very good for this offensive line along with the right tackle. But they're creating, more wiggle room where we're thinking earlier this season, like, oh crap, they need a left guard, a right guard, and a right tackle, to where it could be like they need a right tackle and possibly fill one of the other holes.
I just have never subscribed to this O-line being as bad as people make it out to be, because I've seen it perform, and I've seen what the coaching on the rest of the roster looks like this year, unfortunately, Bo.
How about our guy Iron Will, $5, friend of the show? Look, James Conner's injury. He sprained that same pedal ankle 3 different years and dislocated this year. Is that ankle done for the running back like him?
Yeah, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a scenario in which he's going to be on the roster next year. I think that's a young man's position. He's expensive. He's a great player, great leader. I would go as far as to say he's an all-time Cardinal for this generation. And he picked up the baton after years of kind of ineptitude when David Johnson got hurt. But I mean, that you need to get a younger player at that position to help supplement. I think he could be a number 2, but you've invested in Trey Benson, who I have reservations about. So, I mean, are you of the mindset, Bo, they need to go out and get a starting caliber back this offseason?
I mean, you're not going to break the bank anytime you do it. Like, are you going to go give like a Saquon deal? Probably not. Like, I don't think they would ever be that aggressive going out and getting like the top back on the market. But could they go get a serviceable guy? I don't think there's any doubt they could do it. I don't see any doubt that they couldn't take a guy in day 2 or day 3 of the draft either.
Yeah.
I think either one is a decent route. But yeah, the real unfortunate thing, even though I've got a little bit more faith in Trey than Johnny does, is you didn't get to learn anything about Benson, and he's going to now have to prove that he can stay healthy in his next year and be productive.
It's fair enough. I just, I haven't seen him do that enough at the NFL level.
James Conner's season last year was an outlier as far as health for his entire career. And, now with hindsight, and it's, you can call it fair or not, but betting on a 30-year-old running back who's had, the injury history that James Conner's had, it's a little really iffy. And it's unfortunate how things played out, but it's been a catastrophe as far as that position. I mean, they're down so big. It's not just James, it's Trey. Most recently, it's Bam. It's like anybody who held that, it's like a Final Destination movie. It's like you're getting picked off at some point.
Cruz $4.99. Will we have to wait until Black Monday to know the future of this team? You guys think something would come out before then? I think we would know before Black Monday, given the performance of the next 2 weeks. I mean, Cruz, if they get blown out or if they are non-competitive and it's ugly again on Sunday, I think that, I said this yesterday, I think that could be Jonathan Gannon's last stand. I don't think they're going to be competitive in Cincinnati. This team traveling to cold weather to try to tackle people, I don't like those odds at all.
Yeah. Seeing Drake London's making his return more than likely. You had a big-time playmaker on the outside. Kyle Pitts do anything that resembles last week. Bijan Robinson's just extreme problem for this Cardinals defense. Like, their only way that they can survive is if they create an immense amount of pressure on Kirk Cousins. And
CJ Stroud has been turning the ball over, and their offensive line has not been good this year.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals O-line made them look like, the 90s Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they couldn't get any pressure outside of Walter Nolan. So I think it's crazy. Morris says about the state of this Cardinal defense, I think, is tapped out. And anytime that happens, I think it's easy to see the writing on the wall, Bo.
Yeah. You guys crushed it today. Thank you to everybody, especially Kyle. My goodness, very generous. $50 super chat. But you all, great questions. As have been killing it in the chat. Kurt Warner, another banger interview. Great to talk to Kurt about anything involving this great sport. Gave some great insight. We got the Baldy interview tomorrow, 4:30. But we've got some stuff that we're withholding. We're putting it in the podcast, the audio only. So go wherever you find podcasts, and you'll get some great insight from Baldy about the status of Jonathan Gannon. Johnny, Cardinals tomorrow, after having a closed walkthrough today, should be back out on the practice field in full force. Marv was a limited estimated participant because of the walkthrough. We'll see if he continues to try to make his way back to the playing field from a heel injury.
Hit that like button, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Big thanks, of course, as Bo mentioned, to Kurt. Hope to see Kurt this offseason. And then, of course, check out that Baldy interview. Every week is more telling than the prior with our guy Baldy relating to this team and what he thinks the future could be for head coach Jonathan Gannon. For Bo, no, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you back on Football Friday previewing Cards and Falcons.
We all silly like the mayor.